Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to GV episode 515. Beautiful number. I am your host today, Kirklin Panther, from her perspective. Almost forgot to say my nickname there. And who am I joined by today?
I am the Watcher, Dylan Muss.
From her perspective. What is from her perspective from?
Tune in for the whole newscast, and you'll find out, Travis. Now can't leave now.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. I'm the
Oh, you
pig and
figured it
shit, Travis. Now I did. You know.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got a GV big newscast today.
Yes.
Special appearance by Travis. He wasn't supposed to be here, but
I was
our main
supposed to
topic
be here
was
today.
our main topic is enough to get him joining with us. But before we get into that, a couple plugs to get out of the way. We got a plethora of just weekly reviews going on right now. We got House of the Dragon we just covered, Rings of Power, She-Hulk, Andor's going now weekly too. It's just a jam-packed multiple weeks that we have here at the GV. You can check all that fabulous stuff out at GeekVerse.ca. It has all of our social media links, as well as all that description will be below us somewhere in the text realms that's below us under the video. And anything side quests, Dylan. I know you just recorded.
Yeah,
big
did a
one
nice
there,
review and many other topics for serial cleaners, which is a fun game. And then next week's side quest will be up nice and early on Patreon. Me and Kirklin are recording the Plague Tale Innocence retrospective, so go over to Patreon and get that one nice and free and early, or you gotta wait until next Tuesday. So there you go. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
Take your pick. It's
Speaking
always better
of
to get
Patreon,
early.
a big shout to Sam, our newest Patreon. Sam, you morning from Australia,
Sam.
boys. Big news to wake up to. Yeah, you're just waking up. Just imagine
Hey.
that. Imagine you just open your eyes, you look at your phone. Oh, you know, he probably would have died, and they would have been like, "Man, Sam died in his sleep." You know, but.
But like not if he had his phone in his head, right? And it was like the headline. I don't know why I said head.
In his
Hand.
head.
It's been a long day for me.
You
Then they know he
maybe
died.
some
Yeah.
people fall asleep with their phone. Well, let's
That's
stop.
true.
People, someone's getting
Let's
ready
stop.
to one star us right now. I tuned in for
Absolutely.
the main topic.
They don't even talk about the Wolverine news. But speaking of Patreon, that's a great way to support us. Over there on Patreon, you get all your stuff ad-free, exclusive, early. Great way to support the show as well. You know, help us just put out more content, because the more you support us, the more it is directly proportional. That word was coming a lot today in school. So directly proportional to the amount of content that we can put out there. So there
Very
you go.
true.
I am learning stuff in my day-to-day knowledge. Speaking of Patrons, we got at our highest tier, the Patreon producers. We got Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Smalley Biggs, Joshua Wright. I'm finally getting your name down, Josh. So yeah. Oh, and Travis Snell has a question.
For the Patreon, actually a statement. For the Patreon producers, for the next week, you get to vote what our Halloween retrospective is going to be right now. So it's between, It Follows, it's Spree, The Crazies, and The Empty Man. So you guys are going to pick that. And then also
I have
next
not
week.
heard of three of those.
And then next week you'll pick our video game retrospective in November. So right now the producers, you literally produce what we're going to be talking about. So go over there, vote, or jump the tier and do that. And you only have 3 more days to get the exclusive GV shirt. It also has proceeds that goes to Extra Life, our charity stream and stuff like that. It's a Lord of the Rings themed one. So only 3 days left. So get on that.
Absolutely, it is a beautiful shirt too. If I was thinking more ahead, maybe I would have popped it up for a visual for the visual viewers.
Yeah.
But alas, here we are. Also, can't forget Manscaped. If you want to look after your boys and be all smooth and silky down there and everywhere.
Be sweating
actually.
after this
they,
cast.
They
I'm
got
gonna need it.
Yeah, exactly. You need the Manscaped. So make sure to go check out their products, and you can again directly support the show by using the promo code GVPOD. You will get yourself 20% off, as well as worldwide shipping. Ooh. I think I got everything. I think that was my cleanest intro, actually. So that was that was a good intro. Gentlemen, here we are. I don't really have to prep us for this. Big news. I literally just found out about this like 15 minutes ago. As I was saying earlier, I was busy with school today, so I was out of all of this news. So I came home, opened my phone. I totally thought it was fake until I watched the whole video of actually Ryan Reynolds. Look at the chat. This is good vibes today. Travis Snell, you start us off here. I feel like you never get a start on a big topic like this, and I just want to hear your initial thoughts, because this is like, I feel like we speculated of what a universe could look like of this happening. And it's just like, well, unfortunately, we're not going to be living in that universe, but here we are.
Mm-hmm. This is, I remember a few weeks ago when we were doing our D23 watch along, and Kirklin got pranked by a fake account saying Hugh Jackman is back in the MCU. And right away, me and Chris were like, that's not real. That's fake. Because for me, and I'm not going to speak for Chris, for me, him coming back was like that mystical creature you would never see, a unicorn. Like, I would believe anybody would come back, but I legitimately thought, no, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, not himself, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, that is done, finito. He had so many times seemed very earnestly said, no, it's just, I had a good run, it was a good ending. Even Xavier, like, I never believed Patrick Stewart. Hugh Jackman, I did. And here we are announcing, and Feige, Ryan Reynolds, if you haven't seen it, it's on Twitter, go watch the video. It's fantastic. Such a perfect Ryan Reynolds way. I think this is the single biggest comic book thing you could announce right now, maybe ever. I think this is bigger than Tobey and Andrew. I think this is bigger than Keaton as Batman. I think this is bigger than when Henry comes back in a month. This is bigger when Robert Downey comes back. This is bigger than that. Like, because it's not just Hugh Jackman coming back. It is that mythical beast of him being in a Deadpool movie. And not a cameo. If it was a cameo, cool, that would have been fun. But the fact that they're about to start shooting in a few months, I think it's early next year, and they're getting ahead of this, and they're announcing it, and it's co-starring Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. That's where it's like, we're getting the ultimate. We're getting something that I've wanted pretty much forever. But I remember when we did Deadpool 1 review, and it was just when you get that one thing of the mask, the Hugh Jackman mask, and then you got the end credit in Deadpool 2, but it was just like old footage of Hugh Jackman. It was always like close, but it was like once a year time, it's like, oh, we're just never going to get it. Oh, go ahead, Dylan.
Can you remind me what the footage was in Deadpool 2? It's been a while since I've rewatched
So
that.
Deadpool 2 travels back in time and deletes X-Men Origins, and it's just like him shooting bad Deadpool, and he's talking to Hugh Jackman and stuff. So it just felt like we were going to miss it, and it feels much like Tobey and Andrew, where, man, it's just so good that this is actually happening, and this is the greatest fan service you could do. There's so much more to say about it, but I'm over the moon because I think, other than Heath Ledger, Hugh Jackman is the greatest comic book casting of all time. He is the GOAT of comic book movies. He is the record. He's adding one more to it, I think, too. And I am ecstatic. And we did our rankings. This cannot not be number one for me anymore. I'm not trying to spoil the Patreon cast. You can see where Deadpool was before, but to have Jackman back in a Deadpool 3, what I thought was the dream project, man, it does not get any better than this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Dylan, what do you think about this big news?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm quite on Travis's level just because he has such a deep history with these characters, but I'm very excited for this too. I think this just... we've wondered, like, what is Deadpool 3 going to be? We've had that question for many years, and it's just nice to have some more information, even if it's still just like, okay, we know that one other actor is going to be in it. We don't really know what the story will be like. We don't know how it'll be Disney-fied and all that. I wish I had seen the video before, knowing what all the news was, because the video is really great, and by the end of it, even though I knew what was coming, I was still... smiling from ear to ear. It's just a very classic Ryan Reynolds kind of promo video that he's done in the past, but it's very funny, very charming. So, it's very exciting news for me. I guess I think it'll jump up those tiers for me in excitement when we see a trailer or something more official that isn't Ryan Reynolds in his living room, which, if it's 2 years away, 2 years minus a month-ish, it'll take a bit before we finally get that clip, but I think that's what will skyrocket me into that number one excitement slot. But overall, it's just a great way to confirm it, and love that logo too. Oh, it's great.
Oh.
So, is the title just going to stick as Deadpool 3? Do you guys think? Would they have announced that now?
I think they might somehow add Wolverine to the title just to squeeze out a bit more of those muchos buccos, and also it's rated R too still. So they obviously there's been $1 billion radar movie, but like they still got a little bit of a climb because not everyone can see this, right? But
I feel like part of
Logan was R too, right?
It was it was R, yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like I could also just see, instead of like Wolverine being the title, something Hugh related. They're dropping a lot of Hughs in this little teaser trailer. Now I don't know how like 10 years down the line it's like, oh, I want to watch that Wolverine and Deadpool movie, but you can't quite remember what it is, and if it's like Hugh something, you might be thrown off about that. But I don't know. I don't know who would be confused about that other than like a super general audience member.
I could see Hugh being the movie somewhere in the movie tagline, but I think for like the foreign audiences, they're gonna throw up that Wolverine name, so.
Yeah, they had a lot of Hugh puns in here.
Yeah,
I was liking it.
Yeah.
Even with the song, it was good. They had the closed captions there. Yeah, so it was fantastic. Yeah, this was. I mean, like I said, I just found out about this like 20 minutes ago, so I feel like the dust is definitely not settled yet. It's still flying around my room right now, just with excitement levels. Yeah, not to spoil my Phase 5 prediction, or not predictions, my Phase 5 hype rankings. I think Deadpool is going to be significantly higher than where it sits right now. But yeah, no, this is absolutely crazy news. I completely agree with majority of people that say Hugh Jackman is just like a pitch perfect casting for the character of Wolverine. It's like, who's going to replace him? Like, how can they replace him? Eventually we'll get another Wolverine, but I'm still not ready to not see Hugh Jackman in that role. And just to have, I mean, like, this was a 10 out of 10, what do they call it? Like a teaser, promotional trailers,
like just announcement, pretty much.
Just announcement. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. It was 10 out of 10. It was so perfect. Ryan Reynolds' humor was fantastic, but also just the usage of Hugh Jackman in there was so clever. And like Dylan said, I really wish I was able to get the reveal like through that, just watching the video on my own.
I should just post the video.
Well, it's such a big news thing that like if I opened Twitter, it's not like it would have been on the video. It would have been like hashtag Hugh Jackman Deadpool.
It's impossible in this age.
Yeah,
to not have all the info before you actually watch the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll forgive you, Travis, but no, this is just crazy. And like we even got a date, which was the 9th month. I'm so bad with the numbers.
September 2024, and it's like what, the 4th or something, I think.
6th, I think. Yeah.
The 6th. Okay, yeah. So 2 years, pretty much 2
Less
years.
than
like
2 years ago.
What would it be? 23 months. Pretty much. So
yeah, a year and 23 months.
Yeah.
That's I can wait that long. I especially if knowing what I'm getting at the end of the at the race, I guess you could say. So that's super exciting news, and I feel like Deadpool, especially just because like Feige and like team said like, Deadpool's gonna be rated R still, like don't worry about it, and then like they just talk about things around Deadpool. They never like at the D23 day, like they didn't like specifically talk about Deadpool or anything.
They even talk about this in this video. Sorry we weren't there.
Yeah. Exactly. So like the just lack of talk about it, it's like, hey, this is, I don't want to say I'm concerned for it, but like I don't know, this is just the hush hush has me a little bit questioning. So I love that we got this announcement. Like, how long ago was D23? It was this month, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was this month. Yeah. Which I wonder why they didn't do it there, which is fine. But you would have thought that would have been such a hammer drop. But it's it's interesting that. I don't know why. I don't know if it was going to leak. I don't know. Obviously, the rumor is they're starting to shoot soon, everything like that. But Deadpool 3, for me, even though they would announce and Feige would talk about it, would always just feel like that person that, like, yeah, we're going to go on a date at some point. And it never came, no matter how many times, like, I think I might be free this day. It's just like, but now with them announcing Hugh Jackman, any doubt that I've had is completely gone. You can't announce this and not fall through, because this would be the biggest fumble of all time in comic book movie. If Feige wants to have the best wins, this would be the biggest L of all time if he couldn't produce Deadpool 3 with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman after being announced, So
do the John Krasinski thing and then not have him be the official read, do this like fake out. They'd be just stirring up trouble with those moves.
Maybe they had like the video all ready to go, and they're like, "Okay, we'll drop it if DC has a good show." But then DC is what it is. Like, "Hey, we can save this. We don't have to win the show already. We already won it."
So I wanted to bring up two people, and this because this is a big conversation already. Asbub says, and him wearing the gray suit in the house was posted by Blake Lively a few weeks ago, but didn't know if it was an old photo or not. Christopher Evans says the gray suit makes me wonder if they're going full on X-Force with black and white gray suits. So that's what I got to ask you. That's the next biggest question. Is Hugh Jackman going to be finally Wolverine suited up in this movie? It always alluded to him. There's a deleted scene in X-Men, or just the Wolverine of him opening a case and has a suit and he smiles into the camera.
Is it the yellow suit?
It's a yellow and tan suit, yeah, but they cut that from the movie because they're like, we're not going to put him in the suit ever. But whatever it may be, there's yellow and tan, there's blue and yellow. If it is the gray one, the X-Force ones are black and gray with a little red. Either way, do you think we will see him in some sort of comic book accurate costume?
I think yes. I think even if it's like a big joke and it like doesn't fit him well at all, but he's just like forced to wear it the whole movie, I could totally see that being the case, especially just because like we haven't crossed that off yet, like having Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in the suit. So I think this would be a perfect place to have it. And like I do think there is going to be a push to make it like Hugh Jackman, he's Logan, he is Wolverine, but I still think that they're going to want to make it different, at least than what like the Fox movies
Mhm.
are, like some sort of feel about it. So I could definitely see like that being the reason for it. And I want it. I want him to be wearing that suit. Come on.
And does that mean you also feel, because that's the other question, is this like a prequel to Before Logan, or is this like a multiversal situation where this is a different Logan, as another Wolverine that kind of like Xavier and Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah, I think it'll be multiverse. Just because like simplicity of like making everything like work cleanly. Like you don't have to carry the baggage of like what he's gone through in the past. It's just like, okay, no, this is a and like they've already been exposing us to like multiversal characters, so I definitely think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I feel like they won't. I feel like they won't comment on it. Like maybe they'll have the classic Deadpool like fourth Wally joke about it or something, but I don't think they'll really comment on it or try to fit it in with any of those things. And yeah, I think I'm in the same boat for the suit. I don't think I expect him to be wearing it for a long time in the movie, maybe just like one scene or something like that. But just yeah, I guess just like let's say this is the MCU's only chance with Hugh Jackman. I think they want to get a suit on him once. But yeah, you like I don't know how people would feel about it being like the X-Force version. I feel like people would want to see that classic one. So I think the classic one makes more sense of just him getting in it saying this is stupid, I'm not wearing this, than taking it off kind of thing. Because the X-Force one would be like more fit to this actual movie if this is Deadpool's costume, so you would think they'd want to team up in that way. So that wouldn't make as much sense, I think, if they just did that for the joke, and I don't think that'd have the same effect anyway, so I just don't know why they would do it at all.
I'm going to say why not both, and I don't know what their relationship is, because Ryan Reynolds had said before Fox got bought by Disney, they were writing a script where it was Wolverine and Deadpool going on a road trip together, and they said that just didn't happen. And again, that's where I think Feige's just so smart. He's raising this thing that everyone was like, oh man, what a great thing could have happened. And I don't know what that means, because it's also been talked about that like Deadpool 3 is going to like feature some multiverse stuff, so I don't know how, like I don't know, I'm not saying it's gonna be like a road trip through the multiverse. I just wonder if he is going through different locations and he ends up getting into some universe where Wolverine is still alive as Hugh Jackman and something like that, because I don't think it is, even though he literally says how do we bring Deadpool to the MCU and now Hugh Jackman's back, I don't think he is obviously the Wolverine going forward, even though I've always pictures, I would be completely fine if he was the Logan and they just had Laura X-23 as the Wolverine in the world and just move past that. I again always think that avoids, especially now. Before it was what, 2017, 5 years ago, and you're like, well, at least they're trying to get as much room as possible between the new actor and Hugh Jackman. Well, this just brings it right back up again, and this is 2 years from now. So, and this makes complete sense when we talked about D23 and Comic-Con where there's no X-Men. If this was being planned, no wonder why there was no X-Men, because I don't think they want to introduce it until they do some of these little things like Xavier or Deadpool and Logan, because I'm not saying there wouldn't be hype for it, but do this first, kind of almost get out of the way, like have some fun with it, and then you can go into your proper team. But I don't, even then, I think it's the reason it's going to be a little longer too is because I don't care. We've said, never say never. Luke Skywalker, right? No one's ever truly gone. I don't think this is a one and done for Jackman. I know people go, oh, well, Ryan says like play one final time. And he goes, yeah, sure. You know when was his last final time? The last time it was his final time. And first movie, I do not think, and I'm not trying to get people excited. Just be happy. All I'd say is expect just this and that's it. But if they're trying to make Multiverse this big movie, and I said it in our Discord, which you can go check, if you have a fucking poster with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine standing beside each other, you want to talk about a way to try and surpass Endgame? That is it right there. And it's possible. It's not even like a joke, like, wouldn't it be cool? It's literally possible. Within 3 years of each other, they've reprised a role in the same universe. So, like, that whole thing of, like, oh, man, look what the MC would have been back in the past when they took, like, those actors, X-Men and Fantastic Four and stuff. They could literally do that. They could say that universe isn't, like, and I'm not trying to get overly hyped, but it's just, this to me opens the door. It is a Pandora box where, say, okay, the second he did it one time, he broke his word. Whatever he lied or he changed his mind, he said he would never do it again. Just keep breaking your word. It doesn't even matter. So I think at least this and Secret Wars is on the table. And again, I wouldn't even be mad if he was our Logan in the MCU and then Wolverine on the team as Laura, because hey, we can't top him. Let's just do a different character. Because right now in Marvel Comics, Laura is Wolverine. She has the mantle. So,
and even speaking on that, if they go with Daphne Keane and bring her forward, like, I don't know, I just looked her up on IMDb, and by the time this movie comes out, she will be, I guess, 19. So like by the time X-Men's happening, she'll be like a full-on adult at that point. So I feel like it makes sense you can go ahead with her as like the an adult version of this character. That'd be fun to see that development if she wants to do that. She also has only done 2 projects since Logan, so I don't know how like if she's really going down the acting route as a full.
I think one of them's a TV show though, so I think she's like in recurring seasons of it. I think so.
You're right about that, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are doing multiple things, but anyway, she is still a kid. So anyway, like she was great in that movie. It was a different kind of role, but I think it'd be cool if they brought her forward too, which I mean that would have more implications of like, okay, is that X-Men universe and that Logan movie canon to the MCU? What's going on there? Then they'd have to answer at that point, but I think they can get away with just not caring about that for the sake of Deadpool 3.
Or they could even like this before you go quickly, in one comic book, Wolverine died and Laura was there, and then another Logan from a different multiverse that they didn't have a relationship, but still the whole like father cloning stuff. She could have that moment of seeing, oh, this guy, it's like, yeah, he looks like your Logan, but he's not exactly your Logan. I know people that might get confusing, but it's like they're already doing that with Loki. They kind of did that
with Doctor Strange a little bit, right?
They did with Doctor Strange.
Was like, who you're a bad guy in this other world that I've met you in,
And like we all know they're gonna have Loki meet Thor again at some point, right? We know that probably is gonna happen. So you're almost getting variations of that, of characters meeting different versions. And again, if you're the person that hates this because like, oh, if people die, it doesn't really mean anything, I can kind of get it, but it's also just comic books and multiverse. It's kind of par for the course, right? You know.
Go ahead, Kirklin.
Now just picture the Comic-Con, D23, whatever it is, promotion for this movie, and then you have Hugh Jackman up there, and he's just like, it's like that scene from Wolf of Wall Street. He's like, I'm not fucking going anywhere. And they announced like X-Men projects for the next like 10 years.
The Jackman saga.
Exactly. That's the world I want to live in.
The same way, like Daredevil coming back. That show is called Daredevil Born Again. Even though season 3 of Daredevil doesn't make much sense because that is based off the Born Again storyline. But like, oh, it's a great name, whatever. They could literally make a movie or a TV show or a project and call it Old Man Logan. The same way Logan, the movie, was based off Old Man Logan, but it's like kind of like using that. So it's that thing of like, anything's on the table now, you know, once Andrew and like, this is to me the ultimate. Now there's nothing happening. Like the past few years, the Snyder could happen. Andrew and Toby come back. Jackman's back. Like there's nothing, like you can't even say, that probably won't happen now. I would have said this with this, and it's here. And I have to say too that the director of Logan posted a GIF of Logan being killed in his movie as like a fun joke and stuff like that. So he's having some fun with it and everything. So
nice.
Multiverse, baby.
I have a question here. So in the year 2024, we know that there's going to be a split between Phase 5 and Phase 6. This is coming out, I guess, in September. Fantastic Four is coming out in November. That's Phase 6. Right. So is this closing out Phase 5? Is there something hidden there? Does stuff get shuffled around? What do you think happens there?
Because Fantastic Four is in November, right?
Yeah, 2024. So that would be 2 months after this.
Yeah, I think you're right that this is going to close out Phase 6, barring some sort of TV special or like show. It says, like, you're right, Phase 6 is November, so this closes out.
I guess there could be a TV show that's like running at the same time.
The Deadpool Christmas special, you know.
Yeah.
No, you're right. If nothing else gets announced, because the last thing in 2024 for Phase 5 is Thunderbolts in July.
Okay, so I guess that we kind of are doing this with every phase now, where there's almost like an epilogue thing, where it's like Endgame closed that phase, but then you have Spider-Man like a month later.
Yeah.
Or this year, you know, we've talked about this, how like, okay, Black Panther is closing this phase, but then like also the Guardians special might actually be the thing that's closing out this phase. So I think Deadpool is like that good like kind of epilogue one to close it out in a way. Phase 5 being kind of a weird phase, I suppose, but. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. But Kirklin, what are your thoughts on that? Does that make sense to you?
They're just gonna have like their own Deadpool phase. It's just gonna be
like, a one movie phase.
A 0.5 phase gets switched
phase.
in there. But yeah, no, it's a great observation because that's definitely been like the pattern that we've been going through these last few phases. It's weird though because I'm joking about that, but like I feel like a Deadpool movie like this, like it really doesn't have to fit like anywhere. Well, I guess I can take that back because it all depends on kind of what the plot's going to be, right? And as of this point, like I really have no guesses because Deadpool is always a wild card, and then like what this project is, this is like the wildest of the wild cards. So But yeah, for an epilogue thing, I mean, it's yeah, because it's so dependent on like what we're getting after this, right? Like is it actually meaning that we're getting more Hugh Jackman stuff, or is it not? And then this is just like a nice send off to that character. Then yeah, I would totally put that into that epilogue category situation, rounding off a phase. But like, who knows if this is just introducing a bunch of new things? I don't know. Is this like the lead into the next phase, or like still some more things are following?
Well, I think if Jackman's in Secret Wars, that could be an end credit. To be honest, like them setting up, like they're gonna walk a really tight rope. And it doesn't even matter. I was gonna say because if they leave Hugh Jackman alive in this movie, that's gonna leave everyone speculating. But again, it doesn't matter because why is he coming back? Because he died in Logan, so it doesn't really matter. You could kill him, but I think he will be alive in this movie, and that's why I'm very interested if that multiverse stuff is still happening, if they combine the movies, because even if it was a simple, literally just Deadpool and Wolverine having a road trip, like no MCU connections, no multiverse, no this, that, if it's just them in a car together, like getting into trouble, that's perfect right there. I don't need anything more, but it's just based off some other things that the writers have said in not rumors, writers have said about him, like dipping his toes in the multiverse, stuff like that. Or I can't remember the phrasing in the MCU, but I don't know.
Travis, how disappointed would you be if the intro of Hugh Jackman here is that he jumps out of the grave that he was in at the end of Logan?
Oh, like if this was actually that one.
Because doesn't that like just take away some of the power of the ending of that, or just that movie in general?
It does. I think that would definitely be the route I would not want to go, even though I know Deadpool would probably have some fun with it and make some good zombie references and stuff. But I think the best course of action is a multiverse one. Because if you do that, I think it's almost like what's the point in that scenario? And I guess because he's older, and I forgot to
They made him look a lot older than he looks as a person, though, right?
100%.
So like, they can easily go back in time without it feeling weird.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't even be opposed to if people were right if it is a prequel before Logan and this is a venture that they had. Sure, if it's still in that like Fox X-Men universe, that's fine. Like that's all I wanted. Like, and that's what the multiverse can do. Even if which is weird because they're calling it an MCU Marvel Studios movie, but still, if that's what it is, like the Marvel What If show where it's like, oh, it's in the universe, but it's really just a off tail on the side. Sure, that's fine with me, And that's why I was gonna say you're right about him looking older, but I do think that's why we all will see him in the suit, is because I think it's gonna make sure that he doesn't have to work out as much. Because he said that was his biggest complaint of not wanting to do it anymore. It's like the routine and eating so much.
Jacked,
yeah, I think he's still going to be very muscular fit, but I don't think he'll be looking like he was in that last era where he was getting to like rock size and stuff. I think he's going to have weight, and then they can pad that suit. So even if the suit lots of time has like a leather jacket over or stuff like that, I think the actual suit with the cowl up, that will be minimal because it's still Jackman's face. You want to see Jackman's face. But I think you'll get a lot of him wearing the suit with the cowl down and then covering it and stuff like that. I think the suit is a very smart way to kind of mask his physique and not make him do anything. The huge Jackman. Yeah, absolutely. And still, he's going to look great. He's going to look like $1 million. And it's just cool because I remember that video clip of he was being interviewed the day that Sony announced that they were doing the big crossover with Disney and Marvel and everything like that. And it's still on YouTube. You can find it. And he was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, just because that idea started to enter his thought, like, man, that thing could happen. But again, it felt like, oh, it's past the time of it being possible for him because he was already on the way out. So the fact that it's just like we've come to this kind of full circle, him being like, oh, that'd be like really fun to do, to now. And I still wish it happened earlier because I still would, and I don't think it's off the table for Secret Wars. Having a scene with him and Downey, having a scene with him and Evans, we could literally, in Deadpool, I would believe they would get Chris Evans back to film a World War II scene with Chris Evans and Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, and them like having some sort of relationship. Like, I don't think anything's off the table. And again, I've said that before. You put Downey and Jackman on a poster together, which Downey will come back. That's $1 million easy, clears it in a day, done.
$1 billion. Why not? Let's get crazy.
$1 trillion.
Trillion, yeah. I'll draw the line there.
The first $1 trillion movie, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wow, crazy.
The promotion will start sounding like Black Adam's promotion. The most expensive movie we've ever done. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say when Dylan brought the phases. 2024, I'm excited about Agatha, but that's there in the back half. But just this lineup alone, Daredevil Born Again, Captain America New World Order, Thunderbolts, and now this film, and then Fantastic Four. That is just that is a good year. That is a year where there's no break between like huge projects. Because sometimes you get, oh, this is fun, or a side thing, or we're setting characters up. No, a new Cat movie, Thunderbolts a crossover, Charlie Cox is back. It's funny, we're getting Charlie Cox and Hugh Jackman back in the same year, and then a Fantastic Four movie. Jeez Louise.
What is going on in the MCU?
Good things. Good things. You know.
We're building up again. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also got to say, too, the director, I'm really, like, I know, Dylan, you weren't the biggest fan of Free Guy, but I really liked it. Also, I like Stranger Things. But the big thing is he's worked with Jackman before. I don't know if you guys have seen Real Steel, the robot fighting movie.
Oh, yeah.
But they worked together. Yeah. And that was what started when he got hired. Like, oh, any chance you could get Hugh Jackman? And that director tweet out today. He's been sitting on this for months, and it's just, like, been burning a hole in him. But he has relationships with both of them. Like, I think it's just almost too good to be true. And again, it's rated R, so all the stuff that people loved in Logan, like Wolverine getting to be so violent and using all his claws to be very gory, they're gonna do that again here. It's just like it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like an actual movie. It just feels like something we've concocted on After 9. Like, oh, that'd be cool if this, and then oh, he rated R, and oh, he's back and he's a suit, and you know, it's just Feige's just like, yeah, let's do it, whatever, why not, you know? And good times, good times.
I love it. Sweet.
Don't think I got anything else.
No.
Do you think that post was real, Kirklin, that you found on D23 Day?
No.
You think that person actually knew?
Because it was also about like an animated series, so it's funny because like in hindsight, I would have believed that more than this news. So it's just funny that the world that we live in.
100%. If you were coming to me and say, oh, he's gonna voice someone, like, oh, that's easy. He comes in for a Marvel What If episode, and I feel like that's not a cheat because he's like, well, I didn't reprise his role live action, but I thought it'd be fun to like, what if Wolverine was in this
Talking
part
like
of the
an
MCU? Yeah, exactly. Because that's how it would be. That's what I always sound like when he's like, oh, I just couldn't do it. It's way past
With
my
his
time.
Australian accent.
Yeah, I can't do. That's one accent I can't do. You know.
Yeah. So 100%. Super exciting times, guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna bounce because I'm gonna start making dinner. I thank you, gentlemen, for letting me come on here and ramble because I had to. This is the bread and butter for me, and I'm excited about this episode because there was already a packed episode before this news drop and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And then
joining.
Yeah. Oh, and what Kirklin was mentioned too. Tomorrow you'll have Andor review, this newscast, and me and Taylor's quick non-spoiler thoughts on Smile because we're getting early screening here. So you got 3 episodes dropping tomorrow. So lots of good stuff going on.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna take a quick ad break and say goodbye to Travis. Bye-bye. And we are back. So now we're going to our demoted main topic. This was supposed to be our main topic today, but of course Deadpool just superseded that. So let me pull up my notes here. So She-Hulk and Hulk to be in Captain America New World Order, blah, blah, blah. Events of that film will set up a World War Hulk film. This is a She-Hulk C+ tier, Hulk C tier. I like how they're like broken down into like, this person's more reliable with She-Hulk, but not so much with...
Is it one of those things where like one guy announces a thing and then some other guy's like, hey, I also have heard about this, but I heard a different piece of news and throws it
probably.
in there.
And then there's probably like hierarchies. It's like, you're a C tier, I'm a C+ tier. Don't
They
talk
battle
to me,
it
don't
out on the planes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Captain, blah, that was easy for me to say. Captain America New World Order. I'm very not well versed in that at all. I'm not sure, like, you have any experience with New World Order stuff?
Like that storyline, do you mean specifically?
Yeah, like from the comics or like that stories or, you know, we got the leader back.
I'm an MCU casual, you know me.
Yeah, that's true. You and I were in the same category when they're getting super hyped that the leader was returning. It's like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And I
now they're forcing us to get hyped by throwing all of these other things in there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like, I mean, World War Hulk, we've speculated like what that could look like, I guess, coming down the line, or if it's possible, or if like that's where we're going with the Hulk storyline. So I guess I should start off by asking you, like, what's your hype going into Captain America New World Order? Like, even without all this like rumored news attached to it, you're not a really big Captain America fan, are you? You're somewhere in there.
I gotta say, when I rewatched all the movies this year, I feel like I had a much higher appreciation for them, and I really like Anthony Mackie as Falcon. So yeah, Falcon now. What's this character's name? I don't know why I keep forgetting this.
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson. There you go. Yeah. So I really like him as Sam Wilson because he's no longer Falcon anymore. But yeah, I think when we did our hype level cast, which is that's not out yet, or that's a Patreon only thing.
I thought it was out, but yeah, so it's not up to
we have
the
a preview out on the feeds or something.
On Patreons. Go check that out.
Anyway, I think I had that one like maybe middle of the pack somewhere. maybe mid, even lower. So with each piece of news, I guess the leader news didn't really do much for me, but everything else that we get about it, it kind of jumps it up a couple slots here and there. I'm still like, iffy on the director. He's not necessarily like made the best movies that I've seen before. But this news in particular does a lot to get me hyped for it because I'm really loving She-Hulk right now. I love that character, and I've been really curious, like, what is her future in the show so far? We're on episode 6 right now, I guess.
That's
is where
right,
we're at. So far, she's very much like, I do not want to be a superhero. That's not my path. But she's mentioned it so much that it almost feels like, okay, well, the end of the show is going to be some resolution where she discovers that she does want to do that, or at least partially. So whatever that is, I think that going from where we are in She-Hulk right now, I just don't think it's going to have, one, the screen time, but also I don't think it's that kind of show where we would get set up to a point where we could see her in Avengers and that would make sense, right? Like that feels like too big of a leap. So I think this makes sense of being a really good step that she could take to go from where she is in She-Hulk to, getting upgraded, getting familiar with the greater Avengers characters, and then boom, in those movies, she's kind of on the main team or she's in them to some extent. So I think this is a great stepping stone, at least speaking on just She-Hulk specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was just while we're going through these reviews, it's like, okay, where are we going to see this character next? Like, like they're dropping a lot of Avengers talk about her. And like, I know she pops up in there in the comics a few times. So I definitely could have seen that. But again, Avengers are further down the line. Like, is it okay? We're not going to see She-Hulk if we don't get a season 2 for her. Like, are we getting just something, some other project? So for me, I feel like that was actually really exciting. Like hearing the possibility of having She-Hulk, not only She-Hulk, but the Hulk as well, like crossover with Captain America: New World Order. Just because like I want to see her in a bunch of different things and bounce and like bouncing off different MCU characters that like we know and love. So that's really exciting to me. And just World War Hulk, like the more I hear that, it's like, okay, I really want to see what this is about because I'm not familiar with that at all in the comics, so it sounds wild to me, and I'm super excited for that. And yeah, with the Captain America side of it, like I was already super hype after oh my gosh, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like when that ended, and you have Sam, like don the armor. I love his suit; it looks so good, and I'm so excited for that to be like our Captain America going forward, and just to see the trials that he has to go through as the new Captain America. And like ever since it was announced that it's gonna be a movie, like I've just been like super hyped on that. So any like supplemental good news around that gets me even more excited. So yeah, this is super juicy stuff. And I mean, like, especially if you have like the leader in there, like that crosses over with the 2008.
Sense, yeah. We should have seen
Hulk.
this coming, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't put that on us because we didn't even know who the leader was when that big announcement came out. But the hardcore fans like Travis, they should have seen this one coming, right? Yeah, cool. And then I guess in that little quote or the air quotes that I was trying to say, it said that events of the film will set up a World War Hulk.
Yeah.
Do you have any like speculation on what these events could be? It's tough because like we don't really know like the origin of that storyline really, or how that's going to transpire.
I'm a little fuzzy on the leader, but I'm sure that has something to do with it. Even if he dies or gets taken out in this movie, the repercussions of what he has done could lead to something like that. Which I'd say I'm quite excited for that. It's been so long since we got that first Hulk movie, and yeah, it wasn't Ruffalo, and Ruffalo absolutely deserves his own movie. That would, I guess, he'd technically be like the last Avenger who hasn't had a solo project dedicated to him, just because of that weird case. Of course, Hulk has, but not him specifically. So I think that would be pretty exciting because, yeah, She-Hulk, at first it seemed like, oh, he's going to be a big part of this. But yeah, he drifted off into space. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen She-Hulk. But he's been a bit absent the last few episodes there. So I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I'd be really curious to see what that storyline is and what kind of characters we can expect for that. Because, yeah, if we dig back to that Incredible Hulk movie, I mean, we've kind of seen where Abomination is now, the leader. I guess there's that love interest character that I can't remember the name of, so that could be another character they could dive into.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like they're really diving back into that well, and it makes sense if all that is leading to that Hulk movie. And the reason that hasn't happened is because of those weird rights things, probably, right? Like if that wasn't
Yeah, I
the
would
case,
imagine.
I'm sure we would have had a Hulk trilogy by now. The MCU would have been maybe not totally different, but there would have been a lot more like Hulk focused content in there. So
100%.
yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. I hope it is coming sooner than later. I guess it is at the very least after Captain America 4, which is currently slated for kind of the I guess we don't know. It's somewhere in the middle of 2023, right? I forget if we have an actual date for it, but it's somewhere in mid 2023. So not too
And I'm
far
curious if like more juicy news and like information like regarding that is going to come out after She-Hulk's, especially if they're mentioning that like 2 Hulk-like characters are going to be appearing in it. Like I wonder if there's going to be like an end credit scene at the end because She-Hulk's still going right now.
Do you mean like Sam Wilson specifically being in a post-credit scene, or just something talking about their characters, maybe the leader or something that kinda leads you that way, or do you think Captain America would actually be there if somehow they're related?
I mean, I feel like I could theory craft like both situations because like Sam's got to be paying attention to something's going on. It's like, oh, my best buddy. I don't know if they're best buddies, but he knows Hulk at least.
Best buddies,
and it's just like all of a sudden, like She-Hulk is in the news everywhere. You know, like you know, you and I are watching She-Hulk, but for any listeners out there that aren't watching She-Hulk, like she is basically a celebrity right now. So like I would imagine a lot of people know of her. So I could totally see Sam like being the one that approaches. It's like, hey, assembling a team. It's like the same scene that Nick Fury is doing at the end of Iron Man 1 or 2. I can't remember which one that was. So I could see that happening, but I could also just see again like the leader or something like having like actually I think that would be kind of weird. Like our end credit for She-Hulk is like the leader, a character that we haven't seen since 2008.
I would lean against not seeing Sam or the leader, like something that is setting up Captain America 4, but it's like indirect, you know?
Yeah.
Like we don't realize it at the time that it means anything related, because by the time the show ends we still won't have probably any more information about Captain America 4 unless something leaks. Like I just don't see Disney Marvel announcing anything about that anytime soon, right? And
like who knows, maybe that's why we're getting this information is because that like there's like a little crack and we're getting a little bit of a leak going
that
there.
Does make sense, yeah.
I mean, no matter what happens, like it's going to be exciting to just see what happens at the end of She-Hulk because it's not going to just be like you know, what's going to happen next time? Like, I definitely think, especially just with how the MCU shows have been going, it will be giving us maybe not like a clear answer, but like a good indication of where we're going next with those characters and the players.
And, you know, speaking of that, if we still have not seen Daredevil and She-Hulk, but there's only a couple episodes left, and we saw him in the trailers, so we know he's coming. Do you think this... And of course, we're going down a major rabbit hole because this She-Hulk in Captain America 4, like that is a rumor. So that if that was confirmed, we could say.
If you're just joining now, yes, it's a rumor. It's not confirmed.
Let's do a rumor off a rumor, which is like, okay, Daredevil then, is that something that he would pop up in Captain America 4? She brings him along as a guy. It's like, hey, you need a team? I got you. Or is that more just like, okay, She-Hulk's there in Captain America, and then when it's time for Avengers and Sam pulls in She-Hulk, then she can bring in Daredevil at that point. Like, I think that would maybe make more sense at that point. You know, it'd kind of be like Iron Man in Civil War, where it's like, oh, I know a guy, and then you cut Queens, you know, to like Hell's Kitchen or whatever it is, get your Daredevil. It's hard to think about all these things. I guess Born Again will have happened before Avengers. Yeah, of course it would have happened before Avengers, but it'll actually be very close to Captain America 4, so there could be something there. I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
major rabbit hole moment. For sure.
I love it. No, I love it. I love these theories, especially just because, like, I mean, like the pieces are on the table. Like we have Daredevil, we have Charlie Cox in the MCU. Like there's no like solid reason anyone could give me on like, no, he can't be in the next Avenger or like New World Order thing because of XYZ. It's like, no, he's in the world right now, so it's totally possible, and I would love it. You know, I get flack for it all the time. I haven't finished Daredevil, but from what I've seen, Charlie Cox is a phenomenal Daredevil, and I can't wait till he eventually shows up in She-Hulk. Anything else on this rumor?
No,
I think it was a
good one though. I like it.
Discussion.
I hope that C plus gets upgraded to a B, to an A, to an S.
Yeah.
I really like to see that, and not because I don't want to see Sam's individual story or anything like that. I just think it makes so much sense, and it's truthfully because I really want She-Hulk to be in Avengers in some way. And if that's not what her character arc is, that's not what her character arc is. But that actress is so fun that I just want to see her interact with some of these greater MCU characters, and it's a huge character in the comics, so I think they will. But
100%.
We're only on episode 6, so who knows?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Skedaddling all along to our next news. This one is a Blade related news, which is always exciting to hear. You know, Blade, I mean, yeah, you've seen Eternals. Yeah, you have. You saw it this year.
Come on, you know me.
So
I'm the Eternals
I know.
fanboy. Come on.
You are. Oh, yes. Okay, that's why I forgot about that. But anyways, so Blade's voice has been in the MCU already. If you've seen Eternals at the end credit scene, you know, we know he's coming. Not too much has happened around that though. But apparently, this news is that Blade to take place between the year 1900 and 1980, which is a big time range, 80 years right there. Now I didn't see like a tier, like a letter grade tier rumor or anything around this, or if this is like actually like fact. I would imagine.
S-Bubs in the chat. Come on, help us out.
Yeah, exactly. Where's our guy in the chair to confirm this? Because yeah, I'm not gonna say. I was gonna throw Travis under the bus there just for fun, but you know he's probably gonna listen to this and he's like, oh, I gotta bring this up. So. Alas, here we go. Blade to take place between 1900 and 1980. I mean, yeah. Just what's your initial reaction to that news?
So, I mean, just to confirm, this would mean like the movie like there's something that happens in the early 1900s, and then there's like time jumps, and we're getting things like that, right? So it's like you're getting that range of decades, like maybe not every decade individually, WandaVision style or something, but just like. Maybe there's 3 acts, and each act is in a different time zone or something like that. Time zone, time era, whatever you want to call it. That's how I would take it.
Yeah.
I think initially it doesn't get me too excited because I want to see present day, and I want to move forward. But I think for Blade, I'm kind of down to see what they want to do with this. The second thing that came to my mind was, okay, we know Werewolf by Night is coming. That's obviously got an old school aesthetic to it where it's like the 40s, I guess, right? Is the 40s, 50s in terms of the film era that they're trying to go for. I'm guessing that means that's when it takes place as well, like in the timeline and where those characters are. So I was thinking, you know who's chilling there is Elsa Bloodstone, and what a way that you could bring that character in a way, or at least have a short romp where they're hanging out doing a mission together before he moves on to 1973 or whatever it is. So that was the second thing I thought of, is that could be a good way to bring that character forward, which I really hope they do, because I don't know much about the character, but from what I do, I'm like, Elsa Bloodstone, fucking badass. I want to see more of this character, and I hope she's more than just a short role in Werewolf by Night. But yeah, I guess we've talked about Blade 2, how it's kind of in that more darker MCU stuff. You could put Doctor Strange in that camp. You could put your Moon Knights, but if it's taking place in this time era, I keep saying zone, I don't really expect to see many other MCU characters. I mean, of course, Eternals, we can talk about that, since that's kind of hinted at, but I do not expect a Moon Knight. I guess a Ghost Rider could work, but I don't expect a Doctor Strange or anything like that. I know we're in the MCU now, and all time has no meaning almost with teleportation and different multiverses and stuff, but I'd almost expect them to keep it a bit more contained. So I know there's a bit scattered, but what do you think about this?
I mean, I'll just quickly pop up as Bub's comment here. He says, sources Geek Vibes Nation. Great name. So I'm not sure about the credibility.
I wish there was a website that you could just put in like Geek Vibes Nation. It would give you the tier of scooper that they are, Maybe one day. Who knows? Maybe that'll be, if the podcast doesn't kick off, we'll that'll be our $1 million idea right there. So yeah, I mean, just like initial thoughts, especially going off of what you said, like cameos aside, I think this is actually really, really cool, honestly. Like I think just having like MCU stuff in an era that's like so far disconnected from like where we are in present day is really exciting, because like it's not like, okay, how does this all align with like the Thanos event? It's like, oh, is this person blipped in this time frame? It's like, it doesn't matter. This kid, like over hundreds of years ago, like all this event went on. So I'm all for that, especially just like that vampire setting, like possibly in any stage of like the 1900s, of like 1910 to like 1950, like all of that stuff is I think there's some juicy potential right there. But yeah, so I think that's really exciting. I mean, you mentioned Elsa Bloodstone. I don't think I've seen her in anything other than Ultimate Alliance, and she is such an intriguing character, and
the day's gonna come. We're gonna get a live action Elsa character in the MCU. I feel like I feel like it's safe to just guarantee that. Just
Well, she's in Werewolf by Night.
okay, yeah. Besides that, you're
But it's
got
just
me
not
there.
like she's wheeling and dealing like shotguns and like her fire amulets and stuff. Like it seems like a more grounded version of the character. But that
she'll
was a very
be on
short
like the
teaser,
cover. She'll be on the cover of like a movie poster. Maybe
see what
not
you
guaranteed.
mean.
Maybe like the second character. At
Yeah.
least I can guarantee that. But no, she's like super intriguing, and just like those types of Marvel characters is I don't want like we're getting more of them as the MCU keeps going on, but I think that's just such a fun little flavor change up from like what we're used to seeing of just the dude in tights with the big cape or whatever. So I guess I just described Superman. That's DC, but you know what I'm saying. So I think all of that is really exciting. I mean, another like on the other side of it though, like we're watching, or some of us are watching House of the Dragon right now. Go check those reviews out every Sunday. Lots of fun times. And that show has some like quite a few time skips. Like the last episode was the biggest one out of all of them. It was a 10-year jump. And for me, that's been like some of the weakest points of the show for me is the time jumps, because it's just like, oh, I can't wait to cover this in next week's episode or something, and then it just, oh, they don't even cover that because we just jumped like multiple years, and then you have a character kind of like backtracking some like things that went on. So if it is the case that it is covering like an 80-year span and we just don't have a lot of time to like spend in any one section because we're just, I don't know, time skipping, or if there's some sort of, I don't know, thing that just gets like glossed over because we're just trying to get to like the next time frame, I think that could be something that possibly takes me away. But like again, this isn't a set in stone news. We're just kind of speculating some fun ideas and a rumor that I think Travis saw, threw it in the notes. So I don't want to like, oh no, this is terrible, thought of it, but it's something that definitely crossed my mind just seeing that time frame, because that's a lot of time to cover no matter what really happens, right?
I mean, a quick Wikipedia, because I was curious about a couple things with Blade. I mean, apparently he's born in like 1929. Now, obviously, they can change this stuff all the time. But yeah, do you think that this would mean, because obviously he's like vampire himself, or apparently he's considered a Dhampir is what he is.
I didn't even know that.
Something in between a vampire and a mortal human. So he's not quite a full vampire. So he's like kind of halfway, I suppose.
I just remember them calling him like a daywalker.
Could be him. Yeah, I guess like there's different terms. Like you probably could just call him a vampire, and it's like, okay, that's acceptable. But whatever it is, like I guess vampires are live forever, right? They're immortal in that sense. So that part of it wasn't really confusing to me. But now I was thinking like, okay, well, is this time thing because they're like we're gonna see him as a kid as well, and we're gonna get the origin backstory in that way, and then obviously he'll grow up and then become a vampire at some point, and then he'll be immortal from there. But yeah, this could mean that we get that full on like what Blade's childhood was like. Is that something you would want to see, or do you kind of want to get him? He's already established. Because the weird thing is too, thinking about Eternals, like that scene is at the end of Eternals, which is in like 2021 or whatever. I guess the MCU is like 5 years ahead, so it's like 2025. So that scene is like a modern day Blade. So I don't know how you would incorporate Eternals in there if they're setting it up as like that's something to come.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not too sure, because like I would imagine he's been busy like from the time of like let's just say like if he's born in the 1920s, grew up like did some vampire slaying and then just stayed busy until like our event of the Eternals.
Slept in a coffin for 30 years. Yeah, he's back.
I guess that could always be the case, right? Like technically, like Chris Evans is Captain America. Like he was in ice for just a good amount of time, and that brought him to the modern day. So it's happened before. I think that would kind of be a little eye-rolly if they went with something very similar to just like taking that reasoning.
I'm gonna hop in this coffin for wake me up in 30 years.
It's just like the Futurama like time pod. That's how it starts. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but you were talking about his origin and just like him as a kid, and I think for me, I'm a lot more intrigued of like, I guess like his like initial vampire stuff. Not so much like how he got changed or anything, but just like his early days of like vampire hunting. And like I've seen him as a badass, but like what got him to that point. So I think that kind of gets me excited about if it is like an earlier stage of his career. And then like, like maybe we just jump like a good chunk of like decades or something just to where he is at like the peak of his performance. But I don't know, like just the fact that it says like in like covering that time range, it could mean a lot of things, because it could just mean it's set somewhere in this range. It's not going from like 1900 to 1980. So there's a lot of possibilities, I guess, that can go there. But I mean, Blade, I'm excited for. It's always exciting to see Blade news in our little our news notes, even if it is just like a rumor. But the day is coming. We're getting closer and closer to when we're eventually getting Blade in the MCU.
I mean, if this rumor does turn out to be correct, it's interesting that the cutoff is 1980, right? It's not like this movie takes place from like starting in the 1900s till modern day. Like it specifically cuts it off there, which is like that's an interesting part of it too. Like why not get him? Why not have the events of this lead up to him in present day? Is it because they want to do like a Blade trilogy or more than one movie, and they want this one, it goes up to 1980, and then you get 1980 to modern day, and then you get him in, I don't know if he's an Avengers character, but whatever like crossover event he would be in, Midnight Suns, whatever it is. So maybe they're doing a long con thing with Blade, which I think would be a good idea. In some ways you want to have characters that are building up to Avengers, like She-Hulk would probably be in there. Miss Marvel, I could see that. Shang-Chi, get all those characters in Avengers. But you probably want to have a couple of those new characters still just waiting in the wings, who are building up to get those moments before you get those crossovers, right? You don't want to do it all at once kind of thing. So maybe that's what they're doing with Blade as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? Maybe it's just 1980. That's when he goes in ice, and then he just wakes up.
True, that
decades
that
later.
as well.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Or you got them all out there?
I think I'm good on that one. Yep.
You think you're good? All right, we're gonna take a quick ad break, and then we're gonna get into some more little Marvel talk. So we will be right back. And we're back. So, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I mean, they're not too much to unravel here. It's just like more of a statement that apparently this is gonna be the second longest MCU in film, or I read that weird. It said, well, maybe I can blame Travis here for the wording. I never want to blame Travis. If ever I do it, just for fun. But Black Panther Wakanda 2, oh my gosh, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, second longest MCU film history. So that's how it was written, and that's how I read it out, because I'm like Ron Burgundy and I just read exactly what's written. But I mean, that's
so I guess Endgame's the longest.
Yeah.
Infinity War would be the second longest, but this would be kind of nestled in between them, I suppose.
And like, do you have the numbers right in front? Like, I don't think
I'm
it's
bringing
that
them up
much
here.
Okay, I was just curious how much longer like Endgame was to Infinity War, because I figured it was longer, but I don't know.
Quite
like
a bit apparently. Endgame 181 minutes. I wish this was like broken down by hours. I'm not good at quick math. Infinity War 149 minutes. So. A good 30 minutes difference, apparently. That does not feel correct. But
that surprises me, actually. I figured it was longer, but I didn't think it was going to be a full half hour longer. But that's pretty wild. So then you got Black Panther Wakanda Forever somewhere in the middle of those two runtimes. And I mean, I'll go first here. I feel like I can totally understand that, because there's so much to kind of go over in this movie. Like there's so much weight in it, but also like this is a whole new, like not a whole new nation, because Wakanda's been around for a while now, but just like a whole nation kind of going through like the mourning and grieving of like losing like Black Panther, T'Challa, but then also like the recomeuppance. I know it's a made up word, but I wanted to throw it out anyways.
That's a great word.
Of like the nation, and like I do think by the end of it, it's not going to be like a nation still in shambles. Like I think we will kind of have at least some sort of stability going on in Wakanda. And I mean, just those two things alone, like that's a lot of things to cover. And I obviously, like, this movie has gone through multiple delays and like issues for various different reasons, and I think the fact that they took so much extra time to like do it properly, they don't want to like shortcut anything. I think Feige and like basically all of MCU team does want to do the like super proper to cover all of those bases. So like initially, I don't know, I read that and I'm not too surprised, because this is a very like just important and powerful movie. I think that's going to be coming around the corner, not too far away now.
It's true. Yeah, right around the corner. Yeah, you make all those good points. Like, there is a lot of ground to cover here, especially if we dig deeper into some of those rumors of like things like, Doctor Doom appearing like that. I guess MODOK's in Ant-Man, right? He's not in this one. Now it's so
Yeah,
hard to line all
Quantumania.
these things up sometimes. But yeah, I guess this makes me feel like the Namor and the Atlanteans, I guess is what they're called. This makes me feel like that is going to be a big chunk of the movie, which I think the trailers alludes to that. But I feel like we would then get a lot of backstory. We'd see a lot of many scenes of like just them and their society and what that is like.
Mm-hmm.
But even like crowning the new Black Panther and like something if like Killmonger comes back, like there is a lot on the table for this movie to cover. But yeah, I guess I'm a bit worried potentially that if that Atlantean stuff isn't great, then this movie could really drag, and that would be unfortunate. And yeah, I want a great villain, and to do that, you got to build up to it, and that is a good way to do it. But if there's tons of that in there, and the Atlanteans are like kind of a one-off thing, then it's like, why'd you go through all the trouble of building up this place? So I'd be really curious to see how they do it. I don't know if I just want to see why. Like I believe in Ryan Coogler to make the right decision here. So I'm just gonna put my faith in him and trust it for now. And I really hope when I'm sitting in the theater for my second longest MCU experience that at the end of it, I'm like, oh, that was worth every minute of it. Or instead of like, oh man, I wish they cut like a bunch of this content on this thing.
Yeah.
Or shouldn't have
You never wanna
introduced
have
this
that thought.
character, makes it too messy. So yeah, but you're right. Like this movie did go through a lot of production issues, and for obvious reasons, and some probably not so obvious reasons. So yeah, I hope it's a good sign and not a bad sign.
Yeah, no, 100%. How are you like now in like a long, like, we're in this era, we're getting really, really long movies.
Mm-hmm.
Some damn near blah, blah, blah. This is easy for me to speak today. Damn well near 3-hour mark. Like, are you trained now? Is your body just like, okay, I'm in it for the long haul here, or is it still like a, oof, how much longer? I gotta squeeze the lemon, as they say.
Yeah, it really depends, because if it's something like a Denis Villeneuve, I always mess up his name, sorry, but
Denis Villeneuve.
yeah, if it's like okay, Dune Part 2, or he's doing a Blade Runner sequel, like give me 5 hours, like I will happily sit there. And even MCU stuff, like any MCU movie, like the TV shows is maybe where I'll be more critical of pace and stuff. For any movies, I'm like, give me a 3-hour movie every time. Like I love this MCU stuff, I'll eat it all up, I want it. Even though I just said that maybe I don't want it for Black Panther, just because you got to do it right, and there's a reason they don't make all of them 3 hours. But even like Doctor Strange, I was like, man, I would have been totally down if there's an extra 20 minutes of here, some fun like other side journey in there. So I think there is certain things that I'm like down for it, and Black Panther's totally one of them. Now hopefully I feel the same way as I said when I'm outside of the theater at the end. But going in, like I'm definitely down. I'm locked and loaded. I'll get my popcorn and a drink for that one, and I'm excited for it. So. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
How about you? Do you feel the same way? And is it kind of just like pick and choose, or are you always down for a 3-hour movie?
I'm always down. I'm always able to like tell myself like, okay, no, I'm in it for the long haul. Like I don't even care. Like if I get that large drink and I'm bursting at the seams, it's like, okay, no, gotta just suppress. Probably only 20 minutes, and sometimes it ends up being like a whole another hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had to like back out, especially on like those early. Not really an early screening, just like the day of. I've never had to like walk out to the bathroom, but it's definitely like a discipline thing sometimes. But also like, just don't get the large drink. Like you're fine. Just chill out for a little while. But when you're getting the popcorn and then you're getting all that salt in there, and then you gotta have something to chase it down.
It's a deadly combo. I mean, that's why they do it for sure.
And like like a lot of people, they'll like skip the dishes or whatever, popcorn to their house. I don't get that, or like I can. I just don't. I don't ever do it. So whenever I go to the theater, it's like, hey, I haven't had popcorn since the last movie I was out, so I gotta get it. So yeah. I'll be in there for the long haul.
You need something to do for 3 hours. Eat some popcorn. Yeah.
Exactly, or just enjoy the movie. Not good enough for me. I need the snacks. All right, I have nothing else to say really on this. It's not too much to unpack. Just kind of second longest movie, and it's coming around the line. It's very, very exciting. Alrighty, we're going to be jumping over to the DC realm here with our next news topic, which is about the Joker. So apparently Harley Quinn is going to be the main character in Joker 2. As my name, Travis, if you stuck around, that's the reason. I think you picked that up, though, from her perspective. So it's going to be a story from her perspective and how she sees things, hence why it'll have a musical aspect to it. Dylan Muss. I know we've talked about this in the past, but just for any new listeners jumping in, like what's your excitement about this musical Joker sequel that we're getting? It's gonna be very, very different, obviously, than what the first one was. But I mean, just hearing this title, like I think it's like an explanation on why it's gonna be so different now. It's like okay, it's from a different character's perspective.
Right. Yeah, I think this has been the new, like, obviously getting Lady Gaga in there confirmed is like, okay, that's very exciting. But to me, this is even this really brings my excitement up quite a bit because I loved Joker, but at the same time, it was a movie that I was totally content just getting one and being done with it and like go on and do something else. But to have like, okay, they're gonna call it Joker 2 Jolie or whatever it's called, but this is going to be a very different movie, and I'm sure he'll still be in it a lot if he's still in the title, in the name of it. But this gets me very excited for this because this is, going to be something fresh and new, and we're going to be able to dive really deep into a character's psyche like we did in that first one, but with a different character, with a great actress. So I think this is very exciting for me. As someone who's been like, I don't need another Joker, even though I love that first one. This is like, okay, you got me now. I'm into it. The musical part, I don't think it does much for me, but I'm not against it. I'm just, I don't know, it doesn't bring my excitement levels up at all either. So I think this is some good news. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is awesome news, especially just like you said, like I experienced, I don't even want to say like watch Joker 1. I experienced it. I went through that journey in that theater, and it was like, wow, what a solid like one piece film. Like it's self-contained. I don't need any like supplementary materials to wrap around it to enjoy this. And the fact that we're getting a second one, it's like, okay, well now I'm getting more Joaquin in that role. So I didn't need it. I'm a little bit terrified about that, but I'm also just super, super excited because that performance was so just I mean, everything about that was just such a phenomenal movie. And then like musical side of it, I think that's very intriguing. And I like when we were initially talking about that on the newscast, like when that was announced I think it was a folie à deux, not a jolly à deux as you said, but great effort there. It was okay. This is going to be very different. And at that point, I was saying like I didn't want just a rehash of what the first movie was going to be. Nobody ever wants that. Maybe some people do, but I don't. So I thought that was exciting. And then getting this news now that it's actually from her perspective, that is so exciting because now it's like, okay, yeah, it is a sequel to Joker 2, but like this is a whole new experience. Like we're following a new character as the protagonist, and I mean, everything I've seen Lady Gaga in, she's been so fantastic. Obviously, phenomenal artist and singer. So just to have like in her shoes, that's who we're gonna be following. Yeah, I know that's all wrapped in my head now. It's so exciting because it's like, how is she gonna be perceiving this world? We've seen the very like sad and tragic and twisted ways that like the Joker saw the world from his perspective. So now how is it going to be through this character that I don't know exactly how it's going to be like set up, if it's going to be following like a very similar situation. Maybe they have like some plot synopsis out there that I'm just missing right now. Maybe someone in the comments can correct me here, but like I don't know if it's exactly like we have Dr. Harleen Quinzel and she's just like working on this patient and then ends up like falling in love with him, or if it's a very different take on that situation. I imagine it'll be one of those things where it's kind of dances along the lines, but they make the story like themselves. Like it's not going to be exactly taken from a comic or anything like that. I know like a folie à deux is an actual like comic run or whatever they would call it, but I definitely think it's going to have something that just very much separates it. But this is phenomenal. I'm so over the joy excited about this news. Like honestly, I think this is better than if I heard it was like still from Joaquin's perspective, because it's just something so different, and we have a new character that hasn't been in this like universe, air quotes. I don't know, like the Joaquin Joker universe or whatever the hell you'd call it. Hey, if we keep getting movies, people are going to be designating it that. You can guarantee it. So, but I don't know, just like the way that she is singing about things in her head, and then maybe like when it gets down to realism, like it's not actually that, and like maybe it'll have like a super joyous and like uplifting tone to like a super sad and tragic event, because obviously you know something similar like that happened in the Joker. So I'm just so intrigued. I'm so fascinated, and a little scared. This is gonna be like the Joker is an unsettling movie for multiple like parts of it.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of people that I like talk to, they're either like, "Oh, I love that movie," or like, "That movie made me feel terrible." It's just like, yeah, that's what it's going for. Like movies should be making you feel things, right? So, huge credit to them if they can just keep that going. But I think this is pretty awesome news, honestly, because like. And like, what percentage do you think is gonna be like like music, song, and dance? Like, I don't know if there's like a standard for musicals or anything like that. Like, it has to have this threshold.
Yeah, I feel like I missed that news about the musical part, so that's kind of new to me. About having Lady Gaga, that makes sense. Not that she always needs to sing, because that was her previous career or anything like that.
She's a singer. She's gotta.
I would expect a good few songs, like maybe like a good 5-6 song number in there.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, this news is kind of new to me, so I'm just kind of picking something, but something like that.
Yeah, it's like I've seen musicals that are like so over the top, like almost every single like sequence of dialogue is like a song or
I hope
spoken
it's not
in that sense.
That far overboard, right?
One, you got the whole something weird happened there.
What happened there?
I think some glitch in the Matrix happened. We're all still here. We're all still good. We can all hear everything. Yeah. I was like, Travis is back. He's coming back. What's going on here? So that like threw me off. What was I saying?
Songs. How many songs do you think are gonna be in there?
Yeah, like I definitely just think for what this movie's gonna be, like they still gotta have to like have those like sit down conversations. Otherwise, it'll be. Like I was commenting, or I was sharing my thoughts on how optimistic I am going into this because it is so different from the first, but it can't be like so different that it feels like a completely different movie. So there is still going to be, I would imagine, those like super intense like I was gonna say dry like dialogue, but that's a bad. I feel like that's a bad connotation if you call something dry. So maybe just a lot more serious and like to have like sing-songy things in those moments. I think might take away from the effect that they're going for a little bit there. But I completely trust the team that's putting this movie on. They're I mean I love the first one, and I definitely think they're gonna be doing it right. But yeah, no, definitely not. I don't know why this surprised me so much. I was just like, oh yeah, it's actually going to be following like Harley Quinn's perspective. She's such a big character in like DC Comics and just like attached to the Joker. A lot of people, thanks to Margot and other like sources, like I feel like Harley has never been like so popular right now. So I think it's going to be pretty easy for people to digest that this is like our new protagonist that we're going to be following along. Lady Gaga's powerhouse. So yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to what this project is, and just more information's coming out. That first like promotional image or like teaser, all that stuff. I'm super, super scratching the bit for.
Yep.
Groovy. Any final thoughts? No? Got them all out?
No.
Alrighty, we're gonna keep on keeping on. What time is it? We're good. We'll keep. Wait, did I take an ad break? I don't think I did. So we're gonna take a quick.
You did.
Oh, okay, we're not going to double up our ad breaks now.
I think you did at the hour mark, yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're going to keep on trucking along, but instead of DC realms, we're going to be talking about some trailers here. Video game show, I think it is, The Last of Us. Yeah, TV shows on HBO, starring Mr. Pedro Pascal himself. Dilla, you haven't played Last of Us, have you?
I've tried many times.
Yeah, not a Naughty Dog fan, right?
God, I hate Naughty Dog's gameplay. I wish I could enjoy it to get their stories, which is why I've been so excited for this show, because now I can finally enjoy this, what I hear is the best story in all video games, but I don't have to play the game that doesn't play well, so I'm excited.
Yeah, 100%. I have not beaten very classic Kirklin fashion. I have not beaten Last of Us. Gameplay didn't bother me too much. I don't know. I was really into it, and then I got to a part that I was just getting bopped at. I'm like, fuck this game. Rage quit. Haven't been back to it yet, but I like the story for what it was.
How long ago was that?
Definitely over a year ago. I won't say like 2 years ago, but like, within...
That's recently. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad. I think I had like a weekend off. Shay
was it because the show was coming out and you were like, okay, I want to...
I think that was the case, yeah. And it was one of those where like mini games. I just had it on my PlayStation Now or whatever it was, so I plugged her in, and yeah, I quite liked it. And I think I'm also just like a huge Pedro Pascal fan. I think he's fantastic. So like when it was announced that he's gonna be like the lead, it's like, oh, okay, to support my boy, I gotta find out more about what this story is. And yeah, here we got our first trailer. I don't think it had like it was pretty lengthy actually. It wasn't even like a teaser. It was a full length trailer. And yeah, we get to see our lead Pedro. I will have to pull up the IMDb because I did not catch
Bella Ramsey is the name of
Bella
the
Ramsey
actress. Yeah.
Thank you, Dylan. Always on point. 99% on point. I won't say always. So she's gonna be playing Ellie, and yeah, like I don't know if you give your thoughts first. I'll go next.
Yeah, I gotta say this trailer looks totally fine, but it didn't really do much for me. I'm more excited for the concept than this trailer really did. I think it's cool to see them. It's cool to see like the clicker kind of, even though it's behind like a nasty piece of glass. You don't truly see it 100% on. But yeah, like that, there was a shot of like the city at night, and it was obviously dark and raining, and like that looked great. So I really like the sets so far. But yeah, this just didn't do a ton for me. There's a lot of actors in there that I couldn't tell you the name of them, but like they looked kind of familiar here or there. One of them was Melanie Linsky is her name. She was the protagonist of I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which is that movie I was talking about on our 7-year cast. Someone asked, what is a movie that like came out during the GeekVerse era that you wish you guys had reviewed, and that was what I picked. So she's fantastic in there. She's a lot of fun. She was also in Don't Look Up from last year. So I think it's probably a smaller role, but I'm still like excited to see her in there. And yeah, those two main actors I think seem like they're very good fits for these characters. So yeah, I'm still excited for the show, but yeah, I don't think this trailer really put me above and beyond because I think it's like a very intimate, like personal story between like two characters just really bonding. And I think it's kind of hard to do some of that stuff when you're trying to make it might be more. It wasn't too action-packed of a trailer, but I think some of that stuff probably doesn't lend to a typical like minute and a half long trailer. So I don't think it dissuades me in any way. But yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how you were gonna feel, so I wanted to go to first. I don't want to say let down or anything by this trailer because it's like it's tough to pull from. But like as soon as I was watching this trailer, I was just getting flashbacks to watching Resident Evil on Netflix, and check out our review for that to go check out my thoughts. But if you don't want to do that, I'll say I didn't love it. Okay. I think there was definitely some potential there. I actually agree with a lot with what you said, where I feel like the overall story is a lot more about like those two characters like bonding and like the trials and tribulations that they have to go to in order just to survive. Like their humanity gets tested a lot, and like that was my favorite thing about just going through the game is like the emotional strings that game was like pulling on me. It was like, wow, like okay, this is heavy, and we've seen so many like apocalyptic / like zombie situations where it's like, oh no, I lost like my daughter, and like they don't really like get a lot there, but like that's very heavy emotional things, and I think if they don't hit those well in the show, it's going to be a major con for me because that's like a main thing for me, like following that story. So I agree with you. Like it's tough to get that out of like the first initial trailer. It's more of just like seeing how things are, and I think things looked fine. But again, like it kind of just brought me back to a similar show that I had recently watched, and I didn't love it the most. Pedro looks great. I didn't really recognize anyone else other than what's her name? I pulled it up. Storm Reed. She was Zendaya's sister in Euphoria.
That is a superhero ass name. Yeah. That is an X-Men, I think.
Hey, don't say too much. She might be on my comic book draft going up. So yeah, I recognize her in there. She's really really good in Euphoria. Okay. So cool. I'm expecting to see some good performance from her in there. But yeah, everyone else I didn't really like. I don't know. Couldn't pin where they were. I saw Nick Offerman is on the cast list. Great Parks and Rec.
Well, he was the guy above the grave, right? I was like, that looks a lot like him, but it also doesn't at the same time. Like, because it looked like a 20-year-old or something, but it was like, that has the eyes of Nick Offerman, very standout eyes. So
yeah,
that'll be cool.
Youthful eyes he's got. But yeah, like I don't know, like I don't want to judge it. Like it's not out next week. I saw a date on it. Of course, I closed my tab
I know
now.
it's just next year because I thought it just wrapped shooting recently. So, I don't know. I would expect later in 2023, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, it says 20. Yeah, it just says 2023 right now from what I'm seeing. I would imagine like September, if not onward. Honestly, what do you think? Just in the later portion?
Well,
or-
I was talking to a friend who has a friend who works
Mm.
in movies, and this was filmed in
Ooh.
Vancouver-ish, I think, parts of it. And
Yeah.
they had said that like they were filming that like within the last like 3 months when I was talking to this
Oh,
person.
okay.
So that's why I think, and this is very much obviously like through the grapevine.
I like it.
But just because of that, I would expect later. I think it would take more time. But I mean, here they popped out a trailer here, so
Yeah.
obviously they have some good footage to show, but. I would expect it to be a bit later on just to get all that editing in there. Maybe they do some reshoots or something. Or maybe that recent filming was reshoots. I don't really know. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say fall. I'm going to go ahead and say September. There you go.
Nice. Beautiful. Doubling up with what
1
I
year
said.
from
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
The first episode will drop in exactly 365 days. Or isn't a leap year next year? I don't know how many.
I don't know how that works.
Don't
Yeah, it's funny though, because like this wasn't even just like a quick like shot of like Ellie and I don't even know what Pedro's actor's name
Joel.
is. Joel, thank you. Like it wasn't even just that. Like it was actually like a full length trailer. So it's like okay, this is more than I was expecting to see. But yeah, it's still gotta be a little ways out. What else do we see? Oh yeah, the clicker in there, like very iconic, like audio effect. It was like
Yeah,
basically the
definitely.
exact same from the video game, so that was good credit there. We see like a quick glimpse of it, like before it like fades to like black or something. It like screams at someone, and then you just see like the really gross look of the creature. I'm excited to see more of the creatures, like when we get the full show and how that works. I mean, it's HBO. Come on, HBO's got the big bucks. We could definitely see on the higher end of what their budget can be.
Well, I guess maybe one thing, because I have played the intro of Last of Us, which is like, you kind of get the intro sequence. It goes over pretty quick, and then you're kind of in the after times, right? When it like no one's around anymore. It seems like we're gonna get a lot more shots, and maybe they're flashbacks of like civilization before things went to shit. That was the vibe I was getting. Obviously, there's a lot of clickers and stuff would be afterwards, but yeah, it seems like there's gonna be. Do you think those would be flashbacks, or do you think that intro sequence is longer than it was in the game? Or maybe I'm just misremembering the game. You played it more recently than me, so.
Yeah, it was just like the opening was like in present times, and then
Just
it
like at his
flashes.
house, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And then it flashes to him like in beard and like totally old and raggedy. So, I mean, I could totally see it being like the flash back and forward thing. Like, an event happens, then it goes to like him with his daughter or something, or like something like reminds our characters of what life was like beforehand. That's what triggers like the flashback sequences. Resident Evil, it's funny, the one I was comparing it to had like back and forth time frame things like that. But like at the same time, I could also see them just like taking the formula of what the game was and like just having that first episode kind of like where shit goes wrong, and then
That's a good point. That would be a nice episode 1 stinger, I feel
yeah,
like.
and again, if you played, it sounds like you played the intro. Like that opening is totally heart wrenching.
Yeah,
like
it's
it
iconic,
totally,
yeah.
it sets the tone very, very well for what's going to be going on in the game and the story. So, I could see that being the case for sure. I don't think I've honestly too much else to really unpack from this trailer, other than like the sets look good for like an apocalyptic world, but I don't know. It was something with our characters on screen, the way they're dialogue with each other. I'm like, oh no, I've seen this before, and I didn't love it. But again, that's not fair to judge that because it's not out yet. So we'll be tuning in probably a year from now when that comes out. So yeah, let us know your thoughts and all that stuff in the comments and all that such. We're gonna keep on keeping on, and I like this trailer vibe that we're on. So let's bounce down to, we had Tudum, which I found out like this year is like a Netflix Comic-Con thing. You don't like it?
I don't associate that sound with the Netflix sound.
It's true. I
get it, but it doesn't. No, for me that's a miss.
Because Tudum, like I get it, you got like Tada, which isn't the same, but I say Tudum like very similarly. It's like Tudum, and that's not Netflix. It's like,
yeah, it's more about they should have done that. I don't know how you spell that, but
it's like the World at War sound. It's like, that's what it should be. Just like
God, that'd be
rephrase it from
obnoxious every time you
Tudum.
boot
Yeah.
up on the TV. And of course, whenever you do that, like you forgot that your TV's volume is super high, so it just blares.
Wakes
to
up everyone in the house.
whole,
Yeah.
like the whole neighborhood's here, and you're booting up your Netflix. Yeah.
100%. But so yeah, we got the Tudum.
Kaza Tadu. Yeah.
I love it. We had that event come out not too long ago. We got a bunch of trailers that came out of it. I wasn't too interested in all of that stuff just because I'm not caught up on. Maybe not caught up is where. Oh, that's easy for me to say. Not caught up is the wrong way to say it because I never even tried some of these shows, so I wasn't too interested in the trailers for them. But we got some juice in here. Starting off at the top, we got You Season 4. It's not even like...
Sorry, there was no trailer for this, right? I thought it was just some news on this.
So you see, okay, maybe we'll, there's some visual. So what it was is, it's not like a trailer really for like our characters in the setting. It's mostly like you have Joe in his character, and then they just like go through and introduce like, not even like the cast, but like the characters that are going to be in play in this season, and then he talks like a little bit of like what they are.
I'm watching it now on my second screen. So
okay, yeah, fair. I'll go first on it, and I think this was I don't know, it didn't blow me away because it's not like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can't believe that happened in the trailer. It's mostly just like, okay, these are the players that we're going to be facing in season 4 of You.
Anyone surprising?
There's no one that I've like seen before, so it's like, okay, that like some of these characters, they fit a very similar role that like some previous characters had, so I'm excited to see how they are. They're like,
this is a very weird trailer, man. I gotta say,
it really is
very bizarre.
Yeah, 100%. We could have just done like a live reaction to it. It is very bizarre. It's Joe being weird, and like there'll be moments where like a character will be on, and then you have him like with the hat on, like behind them, and it's like, okay, I think Joe's gonna be stalking this character at some point throughout the show. But yeah, you have those characters that are like drinking. They look like the party animals of them. I am so excited to see those characters because some of my favorite characters in You have been like have been like the Carries of the world, or oh my gosh, what was Love's brother's name? I forgot already.
Oh God,
yeah,
it's a very iconic name that they say all the time, right? Because the
40, right?
40,
yeah, something like that. 50, it's like a number.
Well, because I'm trying, because I think the mother-in-law would always like call the baby the name.
Yeah,
is it 40? I feel like there was a. Oh man.
Help us out, Chad, if you're watching You, and I guess we go search it up. But anyway, like those characters are some of my favorites just because like how they react with our protagonists, and like kind of like the wild cards that they bring to the situation that Joe's going through. But I don't know, like it definitely was a good like not only reminder of like, oh yeah, this is coming down the line, we're not too far away, but like also just we're in a completely different continent. Yep. First of all, like he's in France, I think that's where he ended up, in Paris. So I'm excited to see how Joe is able to keep up his terrible antics in a new setting like that. And I honestly, I was getting like Hannibal vibes just because it seemed like he was almost like in like a therapist role. Like he looks like very doctor-like, and some of the characters that they're showing off just looked like a little bit fancier, a little bit upper class esque. Maybe I could use that word. Sure. So I don't know. It didn't. Like if anything, I would say it pushed my hype level up a couple notches, which is good. That's probably what it should be. Didn't blow me away by any means, but hot off the press, Dylan Musk, what'd you think of You Season 4? It's like a character reveal, right? Like how, like now that you've seen it, how would you
I don't know. I don't like it at all. It's to me, it's like I feel like every movie, they probably do something like this where they have some thing where they get the set and then they get all these characters in here and they probably take pictures of them and then they always use those pictures in like magazines and like promotional stuff. But it seems like for You, they just had nothing else to do with this, or they needed a trailer. They felt the need to do a trailer. So they're like, okay, I guess we'll take the footage we got from this photo shoot, and I guess we'll just post that and then we'll put the characters' names. I think this is very weird. I don't know. I don't feel like You, I guess it's a pretty big show. It's on its 4th season. It's Netflix. People watch it. I don't know. This feels like something you do for like a friends reunion or something. Like this I don't feel like You is at that level, especially when you're introducing new characters in this way. Like, I don't know. I don't like this kind of behind the scenesy fourth wall introduction to these characters that I haven't met yet in this show. And like I know who Joe is, so I don't need to see him creep in the background. Like I know who this guy is. I know he likes to wear his little hat, and he's got his beard now, so that's fun. I think it's a very weird trailer. I guess I am excited for this new season because it feels like a guilty pleasure kind of show, even though it is like a quality show, and I shouldn't kind of demote it by putting that in that guilty pleasure category. But I would say I'm excited for this. I think the thing that maybe has the most excited is that the announcement that it is like I guess being split into 2 release dates, right? I guess a batch of episodes. Right. Every season's been 8 episodes, correct?
I think so.
So I guess we'll probably get 4 and 4 would be what I'm expecting for this.
I would imagine so. So the first part launches February 10th, and then the second part is March 10th. So just 1 month apart. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. I'm in an era now in my life where I'm not a big fan of binging shows. I also don't like the weekly though. That's too slow for me. So something in between like this is actually perfect. Where here's 2 batches of 4 episodes. Each episode I guess is between 40 minutes to an hour usually.
Yep.
Sounds about right. So like this is perfect for me where I will definitely like want to review this show now. Whereas if it was a full season, I don't know if I'd sign up to binge it all in a weekend. I'm just not into that right now. But yeah, I'll probably be jumping in the review for this. I missed season 3 review, but there you go. Confirmed here live on air. I'll be back to review that 4th season because of this. So I really like it. And that 1 month apart is good. They did that with Stranger Things. And yeah, I wonder if this is like stepping stone thing for them where they're trying to get to that weekly where other streaming services are doing that. And obviously it's good because it keeps people in on a weekly basis for multiple months. So Netflix it's hard for them to go straight cold turkey to do that because the audience is not expecting that, nor they don't want that anymore. But I think this works for me well. There'll probably be some big thing that happens in episode 4 to get people talking for a month, speculating, and then you only have to wait 1 month before you get that whole other suite of episodes. So that to me is maybe the most exciting thing is I like that format for this show.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, and also what you said there. Don't feel bad about missing a season. I missed the first season review, so I feel like we're all allowed to miss at least one season in the U reviews.
The U-verse.
Yeah, and just adding on to what you're mentioning about like the breaking up of the seasons. I definitely like it for like my own scheduling purposes. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta power through 8 episodes this weekend just so we can talk about it. It's like, okay, 4 episodes, a lot more digestible.
I used to do that, but nowadays, no, I can't do that.
And like the case too with like Stranger Things and you as well, how like both of these have like the breaking up of the season or the season. Like Shay and I both watch these shows, so it's better for our own work-life balance schedule that we're able to just commit to 4 episodes right now and then get to the other ones after.
I mean, a good point on that is like Stranger Things was weird, right? Wasn't it like 6 episodes and then 2 like a month later? Like they did not do
and they were like they were like 2.5 episodes, like hour episodes.
They were like movies,
and like the last they're very.
I would not expect you to go down that route, but I guess there is a possibility that it isn't an even 4 and 4. But who knows?
And like the thing with you, there's a lot of things that our characters, specifically Joe, do that are like just disturbing and not very like easy to watch. So like if I'm watching him do something bad for like 2.5 hours, it might be a little bit hard to digest versus just some cute Stranger Things kids getting into some antics. So
I would be down though, like 7 episodes and then like a U movie for the 8th. Like I'm down. I'm down for that. I don't think I want multiple movies, but I think one to close it out, that could be cool.
If it's like the camping episode of last season, I'm totally down. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. God, those fucking dudes were so weird, man. Like all their weird traditions.
Oh, I love it. S-Bub's in the chat. He says he's only on episode 1 of season 1 of You, so he's got to catch up. I mean, get on it, man. Yeah,
it's an easy watch, I would say. You plug through it pretty fast, which I mean, S-Bub's already pretty efficient at watching a lot of things, so I'm sure you'll be caught up by the weekend,
100%. It's not like a sitcom show by any means, but like I feel like it fits that realm where you can kind of just put it on in the background if you want to do something else. Like it's not too critical.
A lot of cliffhangers too. I feel like I would often like watch an episode, be hooked by the cliffhanger, and then watch like 10 minutes of the next episode, and then I'd like pause it there and come back later, kind of thing.
Well, then maybe like a movie length episode would be perfect, because then it's like I'm by the end of the hour you're like I need a little bit more, but then halfway into the next one you're like, oh, this is too much. So an hour and a half episode length is good. So yeah, that's coming out, as I said, part 1 February 10th, part
Yeah.
2 March 10th.
Right there, right around the
Excited
corner.
for that one. Moving on to our next one, we got a couple here. Do you have a particular one you want to start off, or should I just pitch it?
You pitch.
I'll pitch it. I'll pitch it nice and soft and slow for you. So we got They Clone Tyrone. I love this title so much. It rolls off the tongue very very pleasantly. Dilmas, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, so this is, I guess, starring John Boyega, Tanai Paris, and Jamie Foxx. I like that trio. That's going to be fun to see them together. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like got a gritty 70s sort of tone, action comedy. So yeah, I think it's a pretty solid trailer. I like there's even got like some film grain on there, like they're being pretty true to that time era. I think this looks decent. I think I would see myself watching this one at some point, but I don't know if it's like, okay, this is up Friday night on Netflix. I'm, setting aside time to check it out. But yeah, I'm curious to see this cast. I feel like John Boyega in particular is a guy that I've really only seen in Star Wars, unless you can think of another popular thing that he would have been in, but I can't think of one. So I really want to see him in there because I just feel like, especially, I liked him in Force Awakens enough, then I just feel like they kind of butchered that character going ahead in the rest of the trilogy. So I'm excited to see him in a bigger role like this. And I like the look. Like their costumes are all great. And there's, of course, that little sci-fi angle to it as well to make it stand out a bit more. So I would say I'm interested in this, but not super hyped by any means.
It's funny too because I was trying to remember what I've seen him in. He's been a few things, S-Pub's shouting out. He's in Attack on the Block. I haven't seen that, but I knew I saw him in something else, and that happened to be The Circle with Emma Watson. Probably one of my least favorite movies I've seen in the era of the podcast. Yeah, very forgettable movie if you ask me. I did not like that at all. But recently he was in The Woman King, which is getting absolutely fantastic reviews. And so,
right, that one I'll definitely be watching before Geeks Time. I think
And Pacific Rim Uprising apparently in 2018, which I
remember
did
that,
not
but
check
I
out.
didn't see that one.
Yeah, so for me, I really like this trailer. Honestly, I'm coming off I watched Day Shift not too long ago. Me and what's his name, Taylor. There you go. Me and Taylor reviewed that one.
Taylor, Tyler. It starts with a T for sure.
Too many T's. Me and Taylor reviewed that one, and if you check that one out, I was very positive on that movie. I think Jamie Foxx is just such a treasure. He is so fantastic in everything I see him in. Yeah, he's such like a fluid actor. Like it doesn't matter if he's a serious role. The comedy works so well for me. He's one of like my favorite comedy characters of all time. Motherfucker Jones from Horrible Bosses.
Oh my god, iconic,
he's so great. And like when he started singing in this trailer when they're in the elevator, it was just like I was just grinning, and I'm like, this is totally gonna be my movie. And yeah, like all of them, like they look fantastic. You mentioned John Boyega, obviously know him from Star Wars and the other things that we mentioned, but also Tayan Paris. I hope I'm saying that right. Recently is, oh my gosh, what's her name even? Rambo. I don't know. Yeah.
Dude,
Monica. There you go.
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau recently saw in Miss Marvel, and I really liked her in that. And like it wasn't until like I saw her in this, but I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm very excited to just see her in other things because she's great in that for like what she was in, and obviously she's gonna be in more of the MCU going forward. But But yeah, like all three of them in this trailer, I think they're gonna have a lot of fun on-screen chemistry with each other, and the action looks like it's gonna be definitely in my realm. And the story, it's interesting enough to get me through the door. If the comedy or the action didn't already, let alone the stars, so I was already in the door, no matter really what the script was gonna be. So
nice.
Who knows? Check out a possible review down the line. It just says coming soon for this one. I didn't see like a specific date or whatnot, but when it does come down the line. I'll probably be reviewing it a little.
Probably next year, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I don't know, this could be a summer movie, honestly. Day Shift was in that realm too, so I could definitely see it being a similar release to what that one was. Jamie Foxx just popping off with these Netflix movies. Some would imagine he's got a contract with them or something.
Some would imagine, yeah.
Before we get to the next one, we're going to take our very last ad break, and then we'll be back to talk about some other trailers. And we are back to talk about some other trailers. And one of those trailers is The Watcher.
Is this not the last trailer?
Maybe we'll mention this next one that was really, really quick, which is Wednesday Addams versus Thing. Maybe we can do that one last if you want to like glance at it.
Now,
while
I'm not
talking
trying to
about
call anyone out, and I might have to call myself. I do not remember this in the show notes, so I think I'm in the dark here. But let me
Just
see
do
if
it.
I'm wrong, or let me see if Travis is wrong here.
Do what I do and just blame Travis, and then later on when you confirm, don't say anything, and then just yeah.
Let's start with the Watcher then.
Let's talk about the Watcher. That's Dylan Buss's name, actually. So you start off. You start off. With
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, the name is kind of also just an MCU sort of thing because we got a lot of MCU news. So I thought it was a good 2-in-1. The Watcher in there. But yeah, this is an interesting hook for this. Once again, this has a lot of just interesting actors in there. Like for example, the actor that plays Shooter McGavin is in this, who's I have never thought about that guy ever again since God, why can't I remember the name of the movie? What's the name of the movie?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Yeah, I love that movie. But it's I kind of forget that guy is an actor. I've seen him in one thing. And I was
he was a golfer.
envision him as that. So yeah, exactly. So to see him here is kind of fun. And I feel like Naomi Watts as well. God, when's the last time I've seen her in something? I feel like that's
King
been
Kong.
many years. Yeah, exactly. For me, that honestly might be the
2008.
last one. So it's been a good minute. But yeah, I thought this looked decent. I was like, okay, I'm pretty into this concept. I think the wild thing for me was that this is apparently based on a true story, which wow, this seems so cartoony and weird and over the top that seems crazy that this is somehow based on true events. And I think for me, the thing that maybe I'll check this out, but I don't know, is that it's apparently a 7-episode thing. I thought this was a movie, but it's like a 7-episode series. So I don't know if I want 7 episodes of this concept, but I think this is definitely one where I'd check out the first episode, see how I feel before deciding if I move ahead. I think I've maybe a couple other things to say, but I'm curious what you think just overall.
Yeah, I mean, I had the exact same thought, honestly. I didn't realize it was a show till I scrolled down to the YouTube comments and someone was like, "Can't wait to all these 7 episodes," and I was just like, "Oh, okay." I honestly I was a lot more positive on it before I got that news because I don't know. I feel like a horror story about this. It could kind of drag on, especially if they're trying to like build up to something, and then if it's like, okay, well, we can't cover that yet because we have to cover that in episode 7. We'll have these really drawn out sequences, and then maybe by the end of the episode, it's like, oh, what's gonna happen next week? Or not next week. It's Netflix; they're all gonna be out, but enough to keep you going to that next episode. Also, just in my own life, Shade refuses to watch horror movies with me or horror stories by any means. So this is definitely something I'm gonna have to watch by myself, and it's a lot easier to just put a 2-hour time block aside, let alone a 7-hour thing. I could watch it on another screen or whatnot, but I think I'm just a lot less motivated to want to tune into something that's 7 hours versus an hour 40 of what a movie could be. But I mean, that aside, I think everything else I saw, I'm super positive on it, honestly. I think it's a pretty terrifying concept for sure. It's probably just a cheap thing for me, but anytime I see a based on true events or a true story, I'm like, ooh, this is even more creepy.
It gets you hyped? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little a campfire story, it's sure. And they never found him again, and then it's is it real, is it not? I'm more intrigued now by that little tag to it. So I
guess for me, I was curious because I was like, this could go down the supernatural road. But when I saw that, I'm like, okay, no, it's going to be more grounded, I guess. Which, not necessarily a good or bad thing, just a thought I had while watching the trailer.
Yeah, and I think all of the creepy stuff that they showed in this trailer, whether it was just the old people staring at them or some of the dialogue that some of the characters are saying, it's got my eyes on you, that kind of got under my skin in a creepy way. So that all of that horror stuff was definitely working for me. It's more so okay, I don't think I'm gonna get around to watching this as soon as I would if it was just a full movie release. But yeah, just talking about the cast, you were saying, holy crap, I was shocked because it's oh, I recognize this person, and then another one would pop up. I'm like, oh my gosh, where do they get all these
low
people?
Key actors. I'm I don't know this person's name, but they're solid, yeah.
And even the male lead, I feel I've only seen him kind of in like filler roles here and there. Last thing I saw him in was like Jumanji. he was the villain in.
Well, I guess he's he's an Ant-Man, right? He's like the
yeah,
husband, right? I was like, I couldn't picture it until right now. I was like, what is he from again? Oh yeah, he's
like the asshole stepdad that becomes a cool stepdad by the end.
Yeah.
Everybody likes everybody at the end. And like I've liked him in the things that I've seen him in. So in this role across Naomi Watts, I'm definitely excited to see that chemistry and the perils that their family have to go through. I don't think it's going to be it's going to do too kindly for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, like, and another thing for me too that I feel like this crossed off for like horror movies that like get me is like when it's mostly in daylight setting, because like the daylight like gives you some warmth and comfort. It's like, hey, no bad things can really happen in the daytime, right? But then when things do happen, it's like, oh, nobody's safe. So
Yeah,
a lot of daylight moments in this trailer that again, like I thought I would have felt comfortable with, but I was still a little bit uneasy. So really intriguing concept for me, but it's like the TV series thing is like the biggest holdup right now. I'm curious if like I'm not I know I'm probably not alone in that sense, but just like how many people kind of feel similar to that. It's just like,
I mean, just with the hook of this particular story, it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. Does this really have like a 7-episode worth of runway for it? Which I don't know, but I guess maybe a good sign here is that the creator/writer of this, or one of the writers, has worked on Scream Queens. He worked on that Dahmer. I guess it's not really a documentary, but like that Dahmer Netflix thing that just came out, which apparently is really good. And Ratchet from, I believe that was last year, maybe 2 years ago, which was apparently great as well. And I think I even watched an episode or two in passing as my partner was watching it. So, like, worked on a lot of good stuff, even other things on his IMDb as well that stood out. So I feel like probably a pretty good guy to helm something like this. So maybe that could pump up the hype levels, as he's worked with Netflix on a few projects as well, that they probably have a lot of faith in him to like give him a lot of creative freedom and stuff. But yeah, he's also just got a good track record there, specifically in the TV space. So that's probably a good sign for this series.
Regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, not right. Just one day drops all, so it's not regular at all. It's just,
right on, man. All right, I have nothing else to share on The Watcher. That is going to be coming out sometime because I don't see a date for it. So I
saw October in the trailer, I thought. So I'm assuming that's like now, like this coming October.
That's right. It said it early on in like the cool scary font that it had. It was
Very
like coming
scary.
October 13th. So if that's true, tune in. And,
is that a Friday? Do you think? Is that why they're doing that? Friday the 13th.
That'd be spooky. Is it Friday the 13th? Oh no, Thursday.
Thursday. Lame.
Lame.
Not scary at all.
Yeah, not scary at all. I'm sure it's still freaky. All right, so we'll moving on to our final trailer. Have you seen it yet, Mr.
This was not mentioned to me, so I'm not going to blame myself on this. I'm just going to say that you got to prep me here. What are we watching here? What are we checking out?
Yeah, so we are checking out Wednesday Addams versus Thing. Came out September 24th, so 3 days ago. It's just like a quick little clip, which I would imagine is taken like from the actual project.
Sure.
If you didn't know, Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family, starring Jenna Ortega. And like, I don't know, this is something that I've seen the Addams Family, and I like have memories of it, but it's just kind of that for me. It's not like fond memories or bad memories. Just like I remember I remember watching it. I remember like the hand and like just some of the characters that were like iconic.
Is the hand named Thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So this little clip is just like her versus him. You have Jenna. It's mostly like showing off Jenna Ortega's like Wednesday-isms that she's bringing, and I honestly like I feel like my hype level just like shot up with this trailer, whether it was just like the Thing being the Thing and like the humor around this thing that doesn't say anything. I said a lot of things there and none of them were pun related, so I apologize out there. So yeah, like it's like how she's reacting to it, and I think she's just gonna have such fantastic pardon me fantastic charisma with the character, which is funny because oh my gosh, got a tickle. Apologies, listeners. Like she has charisma for it, but it's like she's such like a bland, like I don't even want to use bland.
Or like deadpan,
like,
character,
yeah.
Even though it's not like supposed to be funny in the way that a comedy is, but it's in that wheelhouse for sure.
Exactly. It's like I'm thinking like April from Parks and Rec, sort of
Sure,
similar
yeah.
thing, like super deadpan humor. And I like Jenna Ortega from what I've seen her in. And I think like her look alone, it was like, oh yeah, that's Wednesday Addams right there. But seeing this little clip for me got me very excited for that series, which is dropping November 23rd on Netflix, as all this Tudum trailers are. But yeah, what do you
Man,
think?
this hand looks amazing.
It does.
This has got to
right?
be a mix of practical and special effects,
I
or just like
think so,
really good
yeah.
animatronics. Even like this looks really, really good.
I want to know who got casted for the hand, because it's like how do you
Yeah.
audition for that, right? Or are you just like on?
Looks
set
like
and
Doctor
someone-
Strange, man, with all those like patches and stuff in there, those stitches.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not listening to it with sound, so I can't really speak too much on like the performance.
What she's
I guess.
talking about, yeah.
But it's a fun scene, and man, I am just blown away by the effects of this hand. That looks amazing. So
It looks
good for them.
great, yeah.
I think I am checking this out, even though, as I mentioned, I'm similar boat with you as Adam's Family, where watched it a bit as a kid, but like did not grow up with it in any way. Doesn't have a strong place in my heart or anything like that. But like this looks looking really good, and Jenna Ortega is fantastic. So I'm definitely checking this one out at some point.
I think this will be a fun one too, because I'll be able to like send this trailer to my sister and be like, "Oh yeah, check this," because like we watched it together as like kids, so she'll be like, "Oh yeah, like this is crazy that it's back now." So, I think it's gonna be definitely a fun watch just around. It's like well after Halloween, November 23rd, but I don't think
Yeah.
necessarily Adam's Family has to be attached to Halloween. They're more just spooky individuals, but yeah, I mean like her room too looked interesting. And like what you wouldn't have heard was like she kind of made like a deal. It was like you can stay in the desk for like all eternity, like scratching your way out, or like you can oh my gosh, I forget even what the end of the deal was. It's
Oh,
like,
no.
you can obey me. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to pull that
Yes,
back up.
we have one end of the deal here. We don't know the other end. But.
And we'll never know because I closed the tab, unfortunately. But nonetheless, I apologize.
We got to leave a
Super fans of
cliffhanger
these
for the
trailers.
fans listening on the podcast. Next week, tune in to find out
Just
what
end.
that deal was.
Yeah. It's like, and this is what, and then it like cuts out, just end the episode. That could be a good way to just mess with the audio
it.
listeners.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll
have some editing fun over there. Yeah.
But yeah, nevertheless, I thought it was a good little clip, and I don't see these like little promotional clips too often for when they're promoting things, but for a majority of them,
Yeah.
I feel like they work for me. Like it's a fun little glimpse of what
I try and avoid
clips.
clips at all cost.
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch a trailer for sure, but when it comes to clips, like, I'd rather wait until I'm seeing the movie itself.
Yeah, 100%. All right, that's actually the end of our notes here and the end of our regular scheduled program. Dylan Musk, thank you so much for joining me and
It's a
Travis,
fun,
who was
juicy
here for a
episode,
hot
my
minute.
friend.
It was The View with Drew. Hey everyone, what's up? Well, we are out of here, The View with Drew, but thanks for stopping by.
Got the Logan picture, so go back to the beginning
yeah.
of the episode if you want to hear our discussion on that.
Absolutely. There's some good, juicy Marvel talk at the beginning of this episode, and Travis was here for that, so that was fun. All the links are below. We promoted everything at the beginning. Tune in next time, and it won't be boring.
See ya.
Bye-bye.